Hello everyone. In today's morning post, we will discuss on the impact of new education policy for the students who are in the school age going group. So as such, yesterday is a very landmark day in terms of the education system in India. So after around 30 plus years, we are having what is a very comprehensive policy change. So there have been operational changes as well as the structural changes, even the regulatory changes that have been proposed. Like the entire higher education will now be coming under just one regulatory ambit and things like that. But here what we will do is we will look at the key area, that is the school age students. So what does this new education policy mean to the school age students? So in the school age K-12 space, so previously it used to be the K-12, but now in the new structural change that has been proposed, even the 10+2 or that K-12 model has also been suggested some changes. So we look at what are the changes that have been proposed. But yeah, speaking at the school age students, we will try to look at what are some of the major changes that have been proposed and what will be the impact of these changes. Starting with the structural change that has been proposed. So till now what we have is a 10+2 kind of a system, so up to 10th. So 1 to 10 is one block. So in that we have, of course, primary and a middle, and then senior and senior secondary or the higher secondary. That's the kind of levels that we have. So there will be a board exam in 10th and also board exam in the +2. So this is the structure that has been existing so far. So what has been proposed now is 5+3+3+4 kind of a system. So in this, right, the last 4 years that you see is the 9, 10, 11, 12. So the 9, 10, 11, 12 will be cumulatively taken as one block, that is the last 4 years. And before that, the 3 years is the equivalent of what we have in 6th, 7th, 8th. And before that, the 3-year block that is there is 3rd, 4th and 5th standards. And before that we have a 5-year block. So the 5-year block will include what is currently the 1st standard and 2nd standard, plus 3 years of what we can generally say a pre-primary or early child care education period. So that has also been put into the the official structure of education. So there will be even recognition for the the period that a student will spend in that particular level. So now we are going to be having a new kind of an education structure, which is going to be a 5-year +3 and 4. So the important, of course there is importance that will be there for each and every stage. So now most of our discussion, right, we will try to focus on the last 4 years, which is the equivalent of 9, 10, 11, 12, and the 3-year period before that, which is going to be 6th, 7th and 8th. Okay, so if you look at the curriculum changes that have been proposed, so there has been indication that the curriculum would be made more flexible. So eliminating the clear demarcation that exists. Now if you look at the current structure, when a student comes to +1, +2 level, so they would choose particular streams, either the first group or second group. Like strictly you would be having math, physics, chemistry, or math with bio, that kind of science stream and art stream. There is a clear demarcation. So as per the new curriculum structure that is going to be changing, there will be more flexibility for the students to choose the subjects, which means if, say for example, I am a student who is interested in doing physics with a commerce or a geography, I could possibly have an option. But of course the final details are yet to come. But there has been a mention of the flexibility being given to the students, where the current system where you have really rigid demarcation between the arts and science, that could not be existing in the time to come. Even this could give flexibility for the students to choose the courses in the occasional stream, and even the other streams like physical education and things like that, home science. So you could choose different kind of subjects, not just limiting to whatever the current rigid framework that is existing. So this is going to be one major thing that the students will look forward to. So in terms of choosing these subjects in the last 4 year block, 9, 10 and 11, 12, that equivalent period, you could have flexibility. Okay. And the other thing, because now there has been a national level agency, national testing agency being set up. So the new education policy also talks about having, rather not just bringing all the, so in the current scheme of things, what is proposed is that NTA is going to conduct all the entrance examinations, whether it is NEET or IIT, JEE mains, and even other examinations. But still there are some entrance examinations which are not yet under the umbrella of NTA, like there are some higher education institutions in probably the related to the crafts and arts, those kind of streams, hospitality. But what is being proposed is not just that everything will come under the umbrella of NTA, which could mean all the exams might go in the might be conducted in the online manner. But what has also been mentioned is there could be just one entrance examination for all the higher education admissions, and that could be based upon aptitude. Of course, there might be some finer details that will divulge further, where there will be some specific stream selection kind of a thing, where there could be, just like the way we have UPSC, there will be one aptitude test followed by some optional things like that. Okay, but yeah, as the way we look at it, even not just the entrance examinations, mostly now what we have under the purview of NTA is the exams that are related to the science stream. But even the other streams examinations also would be coming under the purview of NTA. And even the way we read the document, there could be some changes in the way the examinations are conducted. Okay, so this is another major change that has been proposed. And these are some of some people might just read these policy statements in a more cynical manner. But yeah, looking at it, what is proposed is the curriculum also could change, not just change, but there will be a reduction in the curriculum, and each subject will now focus on the core essentials with adequate impetus on the problem solving skills and the mathematical application skills, etc. So this is one aspect where it's a jargon that people can say, okay, more application oriented, etc., etc. But the way we look at it, there could be a reduction in terms of the curriculum. So across the levels, the subject coverage part might get reduced, because this is an aspect that comes very often to criticism as to why we have such an extensive syllabus in +1, +2 level. Can we weed out some of the not so relevant topics? Okay, so there could be some changes that might happen in terms of the curriculum. Okay. And as the government has been talking about, the Sanskrit will now become a mainstream offering. Especially the schools students will have an option to take it as an third language in the 3-language formula. So you could have English, your mother tongue, and one more language will be Sanskrit. So this is done more to bring the language into the forefront, and probably also have students more inclined to learning this particular language. So this is something that this government has been really pushing forward for. And another important thing, because we've been talking about the digital transformation and the focus more on the information technology, etc. So the new policy is talking about coding being introduced from class 6 onwards. So we have that last 3+4, the last 2 blocks, right? 3+4. So these 2 blocks would now have coding as a subject. Okay, so how or in what form this will be introduced, we'll have to look for the implementation and the further details, because this is now just at the policy level. So this has to be then taken into the the operational details have to be given further, and then the final stage will be the implementation part of it. So we'll have to wait and see how it is going to take shape, but there has been the proposal of getting the coding into the schooling system from class 6 onwards. So this could be a good initiative where the students will get more exposure towards the developing of the technology tools, mobile applications, all these things. They could get exposure from class 6 onwards. Okay. And for the students who are probably not having access to be a part of the mainstream school education system, previously we have NIOS offering certain levels of the examinations. Now they could be even offering courses in the grades of 3, 5 and 8. If you look at the grades, these are probably the levels that the students need to be going through as a part of even the mainstream schooling system. So the NIOS purview is now being increased in that sense. So students could even have the open schooling system available for these grades. Then we have another point which is proposed to reduce the board examination fear or phobia. So we could see that the board examinations will now have more amount of, along with the descriptive part, they will be having more amount of the objective format of assessment. Already in certain board examinations we have seen, like CBSE and all that, we have seen that the new board exam pattern contains objective questions, but we may see some more increase in that, so that the burden of board examination as such will be reduced. So there will be an good amount of weightage given for the objective format of assessment also. And even there has been guidance given to the respective boards in the education policy document, where there have been these options like conducting board examination twice, or having alternative models of assessment. So all these things have been given as an guidance, or rather sort of an advice to the respective boards. Okay, so standing here, we may not be able to really comment on in what form this would translate into, but at least what we can see is, even for those boards which do not have the objective format of assessment, if still some of the boards are having completely a descriptive type of examination, we could see that those examinations would change to have both the objective content as well as the descriptive format of assessment. And these are some of the points, like for the academically backward students, there could be boarding facilities provided in select schools. Okay, and they could be on par with the facilities that the students will have in Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalayas, etc. And the ambit of scholarships available for the backward communities, SC, ST, BC and minorities, that could also be made more comprehensive. So these are some of the other support systems that have been proposed. And looking at the transition from the school education system to the higher education system, obviously we have the IITs at the top of the preference list of students to get into, especially for the students who are looking at the technology related courses, engineering courses. Okay, so there has been a guidance given to make IITs more holistic in terms of their offering. So we could see already some of the IITs today, they offer humanities courses, they offer MBA, BBA and different so not non technology related courses as such, but we could see that there will be more of these non-technology courses being offered by IITs. So it could be a good move where there will be more opportunities for students to study in such prestigious colleges from streams other than the science stream. So that could see more humanities courses or commerce related courses could be introduced into IITs. Okay, so the other thing is there has been clear mention of facilitating the foreign universities. So this is a policy that has been stuck in the government for quite a lot of time. Even during the UPA 1 and UPA 2 also there has been a lot of discussion about this, of how do we allow the foreign universities to have direct campuses in India. So there has been a mention about having a separate framework to bring the foreign universities and allow them to set up campuses in India, and also allow them to operate under certain kind of an regulatory framework. So what this would do is this would reduce the burden on students. So now people who would probably want to go abroad and pursue a bachelor degree in these foreign universities, they would have to shell out a lot, not just for the education but also for the accommodation and things like that. Now this could be a welcome move in the sense that even such advanced learning opportunities, so to say, will be available at the disposal of our students, where the entire cost of getting that quality of education could be really coming down. So this is another good move. Might not materialize immediately, but at least 2-3 years down the line, if at all it is materializing, then we could see that the opportunities for quality higher education would definitely be increasing. Then even at the UG level, there will be an option to have interdisciplinary courses, so allowing the students to choose different subjects, and also the option of the multiple exit. So if you look at the current UG courses, leaving out the engineering and medicine, the current UG courses across domains, we have a bachelor degree of 3 years. So the new proposal says there will be of course the regular 3-year bachelor degree, and there will be also 4-year bachelor degree which will be coming with more focus on research. So the 3-year degree, they will do it as the normal, and the 4th year is going to be more focused on the research part. Okay, so by this what they are trying to do is they are trying to probably reduce the importance for the regular master course as such, and make sure that students who are taking up this 4-year bachelor degree or the UG degree would also be able to get exposure towards the research, thereby in the research inclination among the students will be improving. And even if a student wants to come out of the bachelor degree after 1 year or 2 years, they could get equivalent certificates for that. So if you complete through all 3 years, you will have the 3-year degree, 4 years you will have 4-year degree. Even if you come out after 1 year or 2 years, you could have the equivalent certificates. And interdisciplinary courses, this is something that some of the universities are already offering. Like you can have an engineering degree with minor as say for example humanities, or with a minor as commerce, or you can have minor as accounting. So you can have more such interdisciplinary courses being offered by the higher education institutions. Okay, and just to supplement what I've been talking about in the multiple exit option. So when a student is coming out of a course in the middle, so there would be an academic bank of credit system. Like you complete, say for example, 3 semesters and then you exit, then there will be academic bank record of your, which will have the three semesters equivalent completion. You could probably take a break in the sense probably the student is dropping out, going and pursuing a job, etc., and then after 5 years or even 10 years he could just come back and then start doing the degree again. So this is really good move in the sense that it would eliminate the stigma of dropout. Because what people usually think is, if you come out of a course, it is, at least in our education system, while we generally talk about examples like, okay, Bill Gates is a dropout, etc., etc., but there is still the stigma of college dropouts. But this system would mean that, it's an option for the student. They could enter and they can exit at whatever time they want, and there would be an academic bank of credit system. And possibly when there is again one more opportunity, they could go back and then continue their education in the same college or other colleges, wherever, because the academic bank credit system is going to be available. It's an online repository where this would be the academic record equivalent of the student, and then they can continue. So if, say for example, a student is doing the course for 1.5 years and discontinuing, okay, even the word discontinue could be taken away, because now we are no longer attaching any stigma for the students who are stopping a course, because it is the choice that the student is making. You could stop the course and then come back and pursue the course again at a later point of time, and all your academic record will be in the academic bank of credit system. So this is another welcome move that is being proposed by the new education policy. Okay, so these are some of the important aspects that might be relevant for the school age students, and along with that there have been the regular jargon kind of statements talking about more impetus on research, enabling research among students, introducing the vocational courses. But like we always keep saying, right, the devil lies in details and the success lies in the implementation. So we have to wait and see how the further details will be provided to us, and what implementation success we will be able to have out of it. So this is what we have to say